can happen versus in open. So it's definitely a lot more rare to get the fabled jet seed.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, jet seed in Keysanity is far different from an open mode. So it looks like we're off, and we're having a map to Ice Palace as the first item we found today.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, the maps, they have a little bit of extra value in this mode because they tell you whether you're going to be finding a pendant or a crystal in the dungeon, and until you find that map, you are not able to tell unless you actually just defeat the dungeon and see what drops. And we see both the runners doing Houlihan as an opening, which is an opening that I personally really enjoy.
Yeah, it's a really consistent way of getting early rupees.
Yeah, with all the maps, compasses, and keys in the mix, it can be a lot harder to get rupees, and it can be a lot harder to get bombs. This gets you 225 rupees. You can go south to the village and just grab a couple bombs from the grove. I like to do the blind race game just because there's so many more chances for a likely item there, and then you can just go buy some bombs and have enough money left over for the bottle vendor, and everything's very nice and consistent.
Yeah, and Wolf picking up the Cane of Samaria in Link's house.
Yeah, that's a nice big find starting out. It doesn't actually unlock anything for them at the moment, but it's one of those things you're extremely likely to need, so it's very good to have.
Yeah, it's also their first weapon as soon as they have some magic.
Yeah, we could be seeing a few Samaria strats. Those are always fun. Wolfie's going to check the race game instead of just going in. Let's see what we got here. Looks like just a piece of heart, so he's probably not going to go after that.
Yeah, it looks like he's being rewarded for checking it and getting a lumberjack check here as well.
Ooh, we had a sword on the library, so that could be interesting to see if anybody comes back for it if they find the boots.
Yeah, if they found the boots, I think they're definitely gonna come back for it. At least if they doesn't have tempered yet.
We've got our first pod key in the back of the tavern. 6 of those in the mix because pod has a million key doors. It feels like so. Not unusual to see some of those a little bit early.
Yeah, and Wolfie using those early rupees to buy 10 bombs, just going to be able to clear out everything here in Kakariko.
So we didn't have much of value in the Thieves drop. Chicken Hut, we have another small key to Skullwoods this time. Not a strictly useful key. It does help you in the logic. 2 small keys means Mothula is in the logic, and for that, the game doesn't necessarily expect you to kill him. So while it's not a practical use, it can be helpful if you're making decisions on where you want to go next. And we saw a vanilla bottle from the bottle vendor, which is fun.
Yeah, maybe we're getting a vanilla bugnet as well. But it's just a big 20.
At least it was a convenient bottle, so they could just drop right down to Sick Kid and take care of him.
Yeah, for sure. So DevioXS went in from the north side, but didn't find any bombs on the way here, so electing to just go straight down and buying some bombs as well.
Yeah, I might as well put those rupees to use. We're gonna get our check of the well, 50 rupees to start with. Ooh, the power glove, that's nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice early pickup. And ooh, that's our first sword. And so Master Sword right now on the library.
We also saw the Thieves Town small key, which is a good find. When you go into Thieves Town, not having that small key can lead you to leaving that big chest behind, which can lead you to a lot of trolls when you have to maybe go back and find get the item in there later on. Wolfie gonna go ahead and check out Blind Side now, and we have just a big 20, some more rupees, 100 rupees. Ooh, half magic, that's very nice. It's also a free magic refill for their Canis and Mire.
Yeah, early half magic is a really nice pickup. doesn't really help them too much in the logic, but it's always nice to have.
Not much else in Blindside, but that half magic is pretty worth. Kakariko's not like too stacked right now, but the sword and the power gloves and the bottle are all nice finds. It looks like Wolfie's gonna finish the north loop that DevioX already did. DevioX is gonna go south and tread over Wolfie's steps. So just take a second right now to go ahead and give a shout out to our tracker Tim Lobo, who is helping us out tonight and keeping us informed on what all the runners find. So everybody give him props for helping us out. So where are we gonna go next? I wonder. We have the South Shore, which is always a traditional choice. Mini Moldorm Cave, the Dam, Ice Rod Cave. Eastern is also good, especially in this mode. Hospitalist Huts and Eastern itself is basically another extension of Overworld because you don't need any items to get what's in there.
Yeah, I think the South Shore is usually the safest bet, but I like what Wolfie is doing here, checking the back of Escape right away. They do have that glove, so could be that the seed is pointing them in that direction.
Yeah, without any other equipment, just the glove strictly only unlocks this particular thing, so it's smart to go straight there and check it out. With a vanilla Hyrule Castle key, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure interesting. That puts everything except for the dark chest in logic right now, because they would need the lamp for the logic to require that.
Looks like Wolfie is just throwing logic to the wind, though. He's going to go ahead and check this sewer chest.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with the dark rooms, I would definitely recommend doing it.
Looks like so far so good. I think he's has he already got to the room with the rat? I can't tell honestly right now.
Yeah, I think he's past the room with the rat, the one with the small key.
Yeah, okay, he's in the room with the chest right now, so he's about to get whatever it is.
So it's gonna be interesting to see if DevioX decides to do the same here.
Looks like just a map of Dark Palace in the sewer chest. So by ignoring that, he's not missing out too much yet. But it's pretty likely that he'll be back to check that later when he finds the lamp, or just maybe he's more comfortable going from the front with that key, or in the sewers.
Yeah, the front is for sure a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about killing that rat. So looks like Wolfie might be going for another sequence break here, going up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, Wolfie is pretty good with dark rooms, so he's just gonna go ahead and get this save point, get the old man, and take care of this. Meanwhile, DVOX is going straight to the South Shore. It's gonna check the dam out first, see what he gets out of this. And the interesting thing about the Hyrule Castle key is a lot of people don't necessarily know is that the two chests below, or in the bottom part of the dungeon of Hyrule Castle, are not in logic until you find that key. So that key's an interesting find that says maybe going to the castle is a good idea this time. We have another. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I think we're about to say the same thing. So we found the second key to the pod.
Yeah, and that one's lamp locked, so that's interesting. DVOX taking care of these mini Moldorms with some bombs. 5 items here, so good chance of some worth. Ooh, we have a big key on Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, and we also had the fire rod in the minimal arm cave.
Oh, is that what it was? I missed it. It kind of glitched on me. It's also a nice find, especially with that half magic.
Yeah, with the half magic, the fire rod is a really strong weapon.
So Wolfie's journey up the mountain is already done because he doesn't have any other equipment to get anywhere else. He's going to go ahead and start on the South Shore himself, but he does have the knowledge of the big key up on Spectacle Rock when he finds the mirror, so that's something that he'll know to go get when he can.
Yeah, and even though it took a while to get up Death Mountain just to get 2 chests, there's still a pretty good... it's not really a time loss, because you do get the war points, so you could just save and quit there later.
Yeah, you basically... that warp just is a nice thing to have set up. You don't really lose any time that you wouldn't already spend. We have Bombos in Ice Rod Cave. That could be interesting. Bombos is the only medallion that has potentially 3 uses, but they've already found the Fire Rod, so the third one's already off the table, because if you don't have the Fire Rod, it can open Ice Palace. But it also can be either Mire or Turtle Rock's medallion, so we'll have to see if that comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. The same way that the pendants are shuffled, also the medallions to enter Mire and Turtle Rock are also shuffled.
It looks like DevioXS is going to fake Flipper, maybe to the Hobo to start. I'm not sure if he's going to go all the way to Zora. He does have the money, but he can't get the Waterfall Fairy Cave without the Moon Pearl, so it might not be as attractive of an option right now. But it looks like he's going to Zora.
Yeah, it looks like it, and Zora is technically in the logic because they have that power glove.
He'll be able to get that one item and then get some intel on whatever's on Zora's ledge. So intel's never a bad thing in my eyes. If you can see something and then know that you need to come back and get it later.
Yeah, the more locations you can just check off early is less locations you're gonna have to come back for later.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate you can't get that Waterfall Fairy Cave, but it is not too bad of a check with that portal down there by the South Shore. Now, the real question is Zora going to be valuable, or is it going to be a life lesson?
I'm feeling like it's value today.
I guess that depends on how much you like Fisher Press Shields.
Yeah. The shield could technically be required by the logic if there's something on Laser Bridge. If they found all 3.
I mean, personally, I'm a big fan of having Mirror Shield on Laser Bridge because I'm terrible at laser skip, and it's a lot of effort to turn on your safeties off and on. Meanwhile, they're both going to Uncle. We get the mitts, so that's 2 pieces of our Dark World access. We just need the Moon Pearl now.
Yeah, it looks like the uncle is holding the value instead.
With that Hyrule Castle key, could the Moon Pearl just be down somewhere in the bottom of Escape? Everything right that they need right here, I wonder.
Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
And they're both heading the same way. They're both feeling the Hyrule Castle play right now.
So the question is, if you would find the Moon Pearl down in Escape now, do you think they will go for Dark World straight away, just 4 or 3 hearts and Green Mail, or just keep on checking some Light World for maybe some better defenses?
I think they'll probably go to Dark World. I mean, the eastern area is about the only thing left that's still open. But they can always try to work that in a little bit later. Personally, I would probably go to Eastern and just get it out of the way because it's a lot of items you can get. It's 7 items and intel on the green pendant. But the Dark World is tempting once you get that access.
Yeah, and most of the chests in Eastern is what we call Sphere 0, which is chest locations that you can get to without any requirements in the beginning of the game, and they have a lot of potential to hold value.
Did not catch what was in that chest in the boomerang room.
Yeah, I think I kind of missed it too, but we're gonna see it soon again. Oh, just a couple of bombs.
Okay, so last chance for something good coming up right here.
Yeah, and DevioX, not using that small key earlier, just decided to not pick up the small key from the guard. Doesn't really have any use of another key.
Well, it looks like the Hyrule Castle key was just a red herring. Doesn't look like there's anything in Escape that they need outside of those bits from the uncle. So Eastern play seems pretty likely now. Which is right where Wolfie's going. Taking a quick detour to check the Hylia Island, sees that it's just Samaros, so he won't need to come back for that at any point. And we are almost synced up once again. These runners are doing a lot of the same stuff right now.
Yeah, they haven't. There've been a small divergence, but not much at all. So if you talk to Sahasrara, you can actually see what the green pendant is, and it's Eastern Palace, so it's vanilla today.
Yeah, it's very handy. Oh, there's the Moon Pearl. It's very handy. You can talk to Sahasrara, and then for the 5 and 6 crystals, you can talk to the bomb vendor. So that's 3 maps that you don't need, and it can help you fill in the information a lot faster than just finding any of the maps. Wolfie's got that Dark World access, but he's going to go ahead and straight into Eastern and get those other 4 items that he can reach. 3 of which are in Logic, and 1 of which is a sequence break without the lamp, but it's one of the easier dark rooms to deal with. So they're just likely going to go ahead and get it.
Yeah, and they are in the area, so it makes sense to just check it right away.
Yeah, they do have the Dark World access, and they could just go straight to Dark World, but you are right here, so I feel like there's no reason not to just go in here and check these easy items. Maybe there's boots in here or something. That would be a very nice find to make the game a little faster. Or we could get the big key of Skullwoods, which is slightly less exciting.
Yeah, but it could definitely be big, because now they have access to every location in Skullwoods with the fire rod and the big key.
Yeah, it is technically a fetch quest. It just opens up 1 item because you don't need it to defeat the dungeon. But it is nice to find before you go to Skullwoods, because that way you don't have to come back to Skullwoods once you find it and you're still looking for items. So it makes routing a little less annoying.
Yeah, personally, I think that's one of the best feelings in Keysanity, when you can just full clear a dungeon and not having to leave a chest behind.
Yeah, you don't need the small big key or the skull big key, but the dream is to find them before you go to the dungeon, if you're gonna find them at all, so that you don't have to worry about, oh, did I leave that chest behind and it's an item that I need. Oh, we have the cape, so that leads to Bumper Cave potentially, or it could be a way into Aghanim's Tower, which they could get 1 item from right now.
Yeah, that's the only thing that it unlocks, but it could definitely be important.
It's also not a bad safety to have.
Yeah, with half magic, the cape is kind of useful to have.
Both of them going straight for the dark room. They're going to get this last item. Don't anticipate too many problems for either one of them. This is a pretty forgiving dark room.
Yeah, I think this is basically the first dark room that most people learn, because it's, as you said, it's one of the most easiest one, and it's kind of nice to not having to leave that chest behind.
Yeah, there's not a lot of twists and turns to it, or the ones that there are pretty linear, because it's just a big circle in that one room and the other room. You know, you just go straight up against the wall and sort of go upward a little bit and get that pot. It's pretty easy to find. Ooh, but Wolfie took a death before he could do the skip. Oh, he has a fairy. Nice. I forgot they got a fairy in the bottle. That's actually
Yeah, I forgot it as well. Looks like DVX is making the same play.
Interesting. I wonder if they just realized that and were like, who cares? I got a ferry, let me just do this. Or if they just, ended up accidentally doing that.
Yeah, normally you have a little bit more than 3 hearts or 4 hearts when you're going to Eastern.
I mean, personally, I know that every time I get a fairy in a bottle, I immediately forget and try to death warp.
Yeah, I think I'm like the reverse. I remember it when I'm trying to death warp, but I always forget it when I die in a battle. So I just tilt and then I'm just relieved right away because, oh, I'm not dead.
Both of our runners have cleaned out the light world now and are heading straight to the only access point they have with the midst to Dark World. So we'll see. Are they going to go into Skull Woods or are they going to go south to the village? Wulfy is choosing Village of Outcasts. And DevioXS is going to go to Skull Woods. So here's some divergence for us. Oh, nope. He's just fooling me. He's going to go south.
Yeah, it makes sense. I wouldn't really want to fight Mafia with 3 hearts and the Green Mail. So it makes sense to check these first to maybe get some form of defense.
Yeah, they could find some more hard containers. And maybe a little bit of like a sword upgrade or just something to help them out. Mothula is no joke, and 3 heart Mothula is pretty bad.
So we saw the bumper cave was just a compass, and so the compasses in Keysanity they show you how many locations there is in the dungeon and how many you've checked. So that's nothing that these runners are gonna need.
Okay, we found a big key in C-shaped house, but it kind of skipped on me, so all I saw was that it was a big key up to Eastern Palace, the green pendant. And that was that the no, that was the second big key they found, I think, maybe.
Yeah, because they found the one to Skull Woods, and then we have a third one on top of Spectacle Rock, but we don't know which one that is yet.
Right, so that was the first one that actually helps them defeat a dungeon, so that's interesting that it's for the green pendant. I wonder.
Oh, and they found the bow as well, so now they could actually complete it. It's not in logic until they found the lantern, but if they just sequence break the dark rooms, they could complete Eastern now.
Apparently, I was not the only one feeling the green pendant tonight. It seems like the seed is sending them some smoke signals right now. Ew, and the big key to Ganon's tower, so that is off the table as being a troll item.
Yeah, Thieves Town super required today.
So if anybody guessed the 4th chest of Thieves Town, you win the game. The prize is getting to watch 50 more Keysanity scenes in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so there will be no guessing game in Ganon's tower unless we need something else from it.
Alright, we see Ice Palace as a crystal according to the one map that we have. It's always a relief to find Ganon's Tower key outside of Ganon's Tower, because if you go to the end of the game without finding it and you end up having to rush Ganon's Tower, you always face the possibility that you either missed it out in the world or that you're going to have to get the way to the Ganon's Tower key inside of Ganon's Tower and then come back, which is, a pretty accepted part of doing Keysanity, but it's not anything that you're actually wishing upon yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's unusual for the big key to be in Ganon's tower, but it's definitely more likely to find it before going to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, the worst is when it's not on your path, but it's outside against tower, and you could have had it, but you just didn't go that way because you got all the items you needed. It's been known to happen.
Yeah, so once again, it looks like both our runners are kind of in the same mindset as far as the routing is concerned.
Yeah, they don't have a lot open to them, so it makes sense that they're sort of just locked into the same tactics and situation right now. They're gonna have to find a couple of things to get us some divergence here. As long as they continue down the same path and only find like one or two things that unlock stuff, then they're gonna end up running along the same line pretty much. Stumpy with a single rupee. He's not being very helpful today. Looks like DevioXS is going to go to the bomb vendor here real quick and to find out what our 5-6 crystals are. Wulfy right on him, right behind him.
Yeah, and that's good information. It's Turtle Rock and Skullwoods, especially now when they haven't found too many maps. Checking the vendors is even more value. So Hype Cave giving us a small key to Ice Palace and the book, the Mire, 50 rupees, and the hookshot. Wow, I would call that an Hype Cave for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty hype. Hookshot and Mire especially means they can just clean up Death Mountain right now. Which I would. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you.
I was gonna say I just suspect that that's definitely gonna be one of the next things that both of them do.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they go there straight away after returning the Smith.
So there's a lot of chests they can get up there right now. A couple in Hera, and like 8 in the Light World on East Death Mountain, and another 6 on Dark Death Mountain. Plus, they can get the Turtle Rock Medallion. Wouldn't be surprising to see the Hammered somewhere up there with all those chests available.
Yeah, and they could also get a big key. They can get whatever is on Floating Island.
Right, the Floating Island. I forgot about that. Of course, none of it's in logic yet without the lamp, but I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to just ignore that. Wulfy already has the access. DevioXS does not yet, so but it looks like they're actually going to try to stay in logic for now.
Yeah, it might be going into Skullwoods, and at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if there's some progression in Skullwoods.
I am not. I don't do. I can do some of the simpler dark rooms, and Old Man is usually one of them. But I sort of feel a bit like what DevioXS is doing. If I know that the lamp is probably available somewhere soon, or even the flute, because obviously it wants them to go to Death Mountain with that setup, then I might personally continue my search for the lamp. But some players, they don't really care about the lamp, and it's totally understandable.
So we have both players picking up a big key. Wulfy getting the big key for Pod, and DevioXS getting the big key for Ice Palace.
That is another big key that is nice. It's not strictly necessary if you know what you're doing, but logically it's always required if you have to do Ice Palace, which in this case it is Crystal, so it is definitely logically required. But it has the same benefit of the Skullwoods big key. If you go in with it, then that is an extra item that you're not leaving behind and potentially double dipping for, so it's nice to have.
Yeah, and in Hype Cave we also had the book, which unlocks the two tablets and giving them an entrance to desert. So we saw Wulfy checking the Ether tablet, but it was only bomb upgrade, I think. Right now they can only check it. They can't actually get it because you have to have at least Master Sword to get the item.
Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like DevioXS is skipping the what is it? The map chest of Skullwoods, the one that you have to deal with the statue shenanigans. Interesting choice to not do that chest while he was there. Also, didn't do any of the back behind that.
Yeah, that's another room that's not super fun to do if you're in Greenmail, but they do have the cane, so that does make that room a little bit easier.
Yeah, Wulfy doing a fun strat with the Mire, going to the Dark World first, mirroring in front of Paradox, and just walking in here, pushing that block out of the way with the Mire glitch, and then once he comes out, he'll be right in front of Super Bunny Cave and just be able to go straight up.
Yeah, that's a really efficient way of checking the chest as fast as possible. So we're having a graveyard ledge as well, and it's a small key to something. I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. Meanwhile, we have a pod key and the Master Sword in Paradox.
Oh, that's nice. That makes up a little bit for the lack of hearts.
It was a GT small key according to the restream. So not strictly a necessary key. Actually, once they have the big key, they only really need one key for efficiency and no keys at all, technically speaking, because they can just get the one from the pot on the left side if they don't have any. So it's not really those are not really worth finding at this point.
Yeah, and DevioXS saying, no, I'm not gonna fight Mofula just to get the lamp. I'm just going to sequence break up to Death Mountain instead. And Flippers in Super Bunny Cave for Wulfy.
Alright, so that's interesting. So we know the lamp is not anywhere behind the flippers, unless of course the flute's available and not the lamp, in which case that's still on the table. I'm actually kind of curious whether it's the flute or the lamp that's available right now.
Yeah, the flute would be interesting because they would have access to the Mire area as well. And if it bombos, they could actually go into the dungeon as well. Do everything except for... Oh, there's the lamp in Hookshot Cave, so I'm guessing flute is somewhere not on Death Mountain.
Yeah, that would push me to maybe search for the flute right there, because I would know that it's available based on finding that up there. So that is a nice find, though. I love having the lamp. It's very... I'm not a big dark room fan, if I can help it. But that does provide them some pretty good intel that maybe the flute is somewhere that they have pretty good access or pretty easy access to that they just haven't found yet. Potentially in desert, maybe they have the book. They can only get one item inside and one item on the ledge at this point, but they could definitely get the go there just for that and find something valuable. The double dips in Keysanity is not that weird. It's also the Bombos tablet. Now that they found that Master Sword, they could actually get the item. And we have powder in the Spiral Cave, so that's another item check for them.
Yeah, Death Mountain holding a lot of value, which it kind of usually does.
So I don't know. I'm feeling like the flute is just somewhere pretty available. We do have the back of skull and we have deserts that are fairly open.
Yeah, we also have a few chests in pod. With the number of keys they have, they can actually check quite a lot of items in pod, but the logic doesn't count all of them yet.
Yeah, we do have flippers, so they can get to the pod area. Catfish, pyramid. We do have the green pendant is on the table now too, but it wouldn't be for the flute since the lamp was what they needed to complete it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Same goes with the flippers, I think, because that was on Death Mountain as well.
Yeah, the flute's definitely not behind the flippers. So that would be that opens up some checks for them. But depending on whether they want to find or go straight to find that flipper or the flute, then they wouldn't want to necessarily look in a flipper location. An interesting thing that has unlocked also with all this stuff that we have found, they can get to the first chest in Swamp, which since V28 came out, can in fact have progression, and you could be expected to get something in that chest to go find something else. It has happened.
Yeah, I was actually commentating a race earlier this week that had progression in that first chest, and it was required to do it without finding the small key for Swamp.
All right, Wolfie's going to give us some intel on the back of Skull Woods, which was skipped by DevioXS, so we'll have to see if DevioXS left anything good behind. Well, there's our second shield.
Yeah, so DVX is gonna get the fire shield when they make their way back, and something else that's nice with the mirror as well is just routing around in dungeons is a lot easier when you have the mirror.
Yeah, is Wolfie gonna do the thing? He's gonna do the thing. He's got the book. He's got the mirror. He's going to go ahead and check and see what kind of seed we're dealing with today.
Yeah, hold on to your dreams, Shad, because now we're getting pet check. And on pedestal today we have just a little bomb upgrade.
Well, rip pedestal. That is not going to be a factor today. We could still see some pendant boss kills to get some items, but we don't need to do it to get the pedestal. But it's always nice to check that when you're in the area and just take a load off your mind, because knowing that you need that makes your routing a lot different.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're ever gonna check it, this going to Mafia, that's definitely the best opportunity to do it.
Alright, just a compass in that chest. So far, DevioXS has not left anything too interesting behind. And we don't actually have any of the small Skullwoods keys, I don't believe. So Mothula's not really in the logic right now, so I don't necessarily expect to see the flute here, but we could always see something interesting here.
Yeah, I think they did found one small key to Skullwoods, but not enough to put Mafia in the logic. And according to a tracker, Bombos is the required medallion for Turtle Rock, so that's interesting because they already have it.
Bombos and the cane. All they need is the hammer. Maybe we'll see a Turtle Rock dip early. Alright, Wolfie's gonna jump into this fight with Master Sword and 6 hearts. Not the best setup, but he does have half magic in the fire rod too, so he can do a little bit of spamming.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a little bit careful, but looking good so far. Yeah, Mafia goes down.
Very smooth fight. For the bug nets, not really a required item, but they did get a crystal out of it, so that's nice.
Yeah, that crystal is definitely a required item at least.
Meanwhile, DevioXS was not going to leave what was in Skullwoods behind for long. He is right behind Wolfie, going to the back of Skullwoods. So where do you go from here with what you have? Wolfie's already done a lot of the Village of Outcasts. Perhaps to go check that powder and grab the purple chest, and maybe also route in the south of Grove and Bombos. That seems like a worthwhile chain to get yourself on.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty efficient way of getting a lot of overworld stuff out of the way.
He is walking back this way, so I think that he might be potentially doing that.
Yeah, might be going into desert after checking that Bombus tablet as well.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty nice way to route that in. Just walk over to a Genus cave and then walk over to desert and check the open chest there. Since you have that book, get all of the things that you can get from the book out of the way. And then beyond that, after that, if they don't find anything in desert, Ice Palace starts to look a little bit attractive. Despite the fact that you have no hammer, you can get 5 chests in there, and this hammer really is holding back on us right now.
Yeah, for sure. So Ice Palace would still be a sequence break since they haven't got the flute, but the hammer could definitely be in there. So Wolford did not check powder, and
interesting. You could have mirrored there and just jumped to. Oh, speaking of hammer, now Ice Palace looks super attractive.
yeah, it's super nice to get that hammer because it's extremely valuable in these games.
But yeah, as I was about to say, he could have mirrored and jumped down with the chest to get the magic bat and just taken it while he was there, taking it out while he was there. But then he would have had to go to the he would have lost his portal, so he probably just didn't want to do that right now.
Yeah, so we know they're gonna find the flute not too far away from now, so might be checking that chest for when they found the flute.
Yeah, and the powder definitely would not have the flute. Ooh, DevioXS taking a death on Mothula. That's unfortunate.
Yes, those beams from Mothula make this 2 heart of damage.
Yeah, chat. We know they don't need the flute for Ice Palace, but based on all the items they found, the flute seems pretty available. So they might want to find that. Personally speaking, I know it makes travel a lot easier. So if I knew it was available, I would probably be thinking about how to get a hold of it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's here, been available all the time. But no, it's just a compass for Ice Palace.
Flute could be on the pod side now that they found the hammer where they found it too. Looks like a small key on the desert ledge. And again, we are synced up. Looks like
Yeah.
I think DevioXS abandoned Mothula for now because he took that death. We know he's not going to get much out of it besides the crystal, so it's perfectly fine for him to avoid that for now.
Yeah, and DevioXS didn't do as you said, the purple chest, but not missing out anything from that.
He is going to miss that hammer though on the way to bringing the purple chest back, which is not ideal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because where he's at now is there's no good way to route back in with the Dark World. Ether on the torch, which is interesting, could come into play if maybe it's available or needed for Misery Mire, but we're a little ways off from figuring that out right now.
Yeah, that's the second item so far we've seen locked by the boots. That's not necessarily required, but sure, it's nice to have.
Well, we've got a pod key over here on the desert ledge, so that's a little bit more access. What is that? Is that 4 keys we're up to right now? I'm having a little trouble seeing the tracker.
Yeah, Wolfie has 4. I don't think DevioXS has picked up all the pod keys yet, however.
So that's a lot of potential access to pod right now. That makes that look pretty nice.
Yeah, also have the big key for pod, and the hammer could full clear it if they know how to hammer jump.
This is true, and they can also work in the Green Pendant at Eastern Palace with the Mire, which seems like a likely play because they have that access, and it's pretty early. They're still missing a lot of things.
Yeah, so DevioX will definitely want to have that hammer before going into pod, because otherwise they can't go through the bowlock section.
Yeah, I'm afraid they might skip that hammer for a bit based on what they're doing right now. But they do have to go back to the village to go to the Dark World, so maybe they'll go ahead and route in that check as they're going to the pod area if they go south.
Oh, and silver arrows from the hobo. That's handy before you go into pod and Eastern.
Yeah, they can full clear pod with 4 keys, assuming that they do the hammer jump. And I know Wolfie should know the hammer jump. I don't really know if DevioX does or not. But he also doesn't have the hammer right now, so that's gonna hold him back if he doesn't route that in before he goes that way. He could choose to go north and go to Catfish and Pyramid and go south to Pod from there, which would kind of hurt him a little bit. Wolfie's going to go ahead and do a fun strat for Keysanity and Mire up here to check Aghanim's tower while he checks this pyramid item.
Yeah, and we did get a map check from DVX, so Thieves' Town is a crystal as well.
Silver Arrows making short work of these ball and chain guards. Very nice. Ice Palace Small Key, which is mostly helpful for routing the dungeon, not actually necessary in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I would say that at least having one small key before you go in is nice to have, but having both not as big of a time save.
But one small key in Samaria does put full clear of Ice Palace in the logic, so that's fully on the table now. They could find some good stuff there.
Yeah, and DVX is going for the catfish play.
Yeah, he's unfortunately doing the way that I was suspected he might do and go north to Catfish and then go south to the Pod probably, which is going to hurt him a little bit with that hammer placement.
Yeah, also taking the time to stock up on a few potions, and with as few hearts as they have, that's a pretty good safety to have.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what DevioX does when they get to Pod, because they are going to have to burn that front door key if they want to check anything there. Oh, the flute. We do have found, or we do have the flute now.
Yeah, there we have it. It's that's been open for them since they got the Dark World access.
Yeah, the intended thing that it wanted you to do was get the Mire to go to get the hammer and then get the flutes, because the flippers were locked up there on Death Mountain. That's a very nice find, though. Makes travel a lot nicer. It's not the ideal placement for the flute. Catfish is a bit out of the way, but yeah, that's both of them have gone this way, so they both found that about the same time.
Yeah, and DVX is making his way to Hobo as well, getting those silver arrows.
Right, and Wolfie and I suspect DevioX also going to go activate that flute right away. It's possible we'll get a Mire medallion check and checkerboard cave check before they go to Pod, and they might also, find another Pod key in the mix if they check all that areas. Going in with 5 Pod keys is definitely better than going in with 4.
Yeah, for sure. It just makes the whole trip so much smoother.
And the real question is just how long is it going to take DevioXS to route that Grove legend? Because based on what they've done, it's a little bit more awkward now, but they did leave the purple chest behind, so when they go to activate the flute, it is possible that they'll walk over and take care of that while they're there, which would be that would be the ideal situation for them, is to go ahead and do that when they come over here to activate the flute. However, it looks like they might be walking down to Pod, which is going to hurt them a little.
Yeah, probably gonna just check the pyramid first, and also getting that Aga check, and did leave that small chest in the sewers before as well.
Yeah, hopefully that's what they're after right now, and they'll just go turn in the flute after that and get the purple chest. I do believe Wolfie is going to do the hammer pegs and potentially magic bat while he's here.
Yeah, that would make sense. Just getting all of those overworld locations out of the way at the same time.
Oh, interesting. Tim Lobo pointing out that DevioXS did not get everything up on Death Mountain. He doesn't have a second sword, for instance. Where was that? I thought that was in Paradox Cave, but I guess I might be wrong.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in Paradox Cave.
Oh,
It
that's
looks
strange.
like our tracker is confirming that.
Did he take a death and I just didn't see it? Oh, he just skipped the chests? That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it does make sense because DVX has one less podkey as well, and ooh, the ice rod from Magic Bat.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of what might have prompted him to not do all of the chests in Paradox Cave.
I would guess that most likely they just forgot them, because I don't think you just leave all of those chests on purpose.
Yeah, it's a little stranger to see them forgotten when they're in the same room, though. It's nice to find the ice rod, though. That's a troll to get out of the way. It looks like Wolfie is actually holding out on Pod for now. Maybe he's looking to find another key. I don't know. He does have Ice Palace fully in the logic, so maybe he's just trying to follow what the seed is telling him. DevioXS is going to do the green pendant and probably dip into pot a little bit without the hammer, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. The good thing about missing the hammer as the location is that there's just so much you can do without the hammer, and you're gonna have to get it sooner or later. Would be worse if it was like the ice rod that could be basic anywhere.
Wolfie getting a little bit trolled by these pingators. Oh, Tower of Harris small key, which is a little bit trolly. It's a fetch quest that is currently pretty far out of the way.
Yeah, I probably want to skip that at least until you have the big key for Hera.
Might be good to route it into yeah. They don't have the big key yet, so that would definitely be something you'd want to hold out for. And maybe if you want to go up and do Spike Cave or something at the same time. I would say he could also go back and clean up Paradox, but I'm not entirely sure if he knows that he missed those chests. I mean, Master Sword is not necessarily something that he needs if he can find the fourth sword, as we've already seen 3 of them, but it would definitely be more helpful to have it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if they decide to go back there. So the silver arrows, those armorous knights just go down straight away, and getting a small key to Turtle Rock and the green pendant.
Yeah, it looks like our first Turtle Rock small key, and they need at least 3 of those to be able to complete the dungeon fully. To get to Trinex anyway. 4 if they want to get every item in there. Which the interesting thing about Turtle Rock being the 5/6 crystal is it's a lot less likely to make Pyramid Fairy a thing, because you need all 4 of those keys in the logic to have that happen. So that's either good news that that's the Pyramid Fairy, or bad news.
Yeah, they have got all the items so far, at least, to beat Turtle Rock. But yeah, only one small key so far.
Looks like Ice Palace isn't putting out much worth right now.
Yeah, there's still a few more chests, so hopefully for Wolf's sake there's something in here.
Yeah,
But at
DevioXS.
the very least he's gonna get a crystal.
Yeah, that's always at least worth your time if you get a crystal at the end of it. DevioXS doing the bow side here, but without the hammer, unfortunately. Still gonna have to burn the front door key if he wants to continue in here. Oh yeah, and he was missing a pod key from Paradox Cave, which could be a factor if he does not go back and get it. But there's a vanilla one, so that's helpful.
Yeah, Pod has 6 randomized keys, so the chance of finding a vanilla key is a little bit higher than in another dungeon.
If he knows the hammer jump, he could get everything but 1 item in here based on finding that vanilla key, which could end up helping him in the long run. Not have to worry about Paradox Cave there. There's another turtle small key too.
Yeah, so by the logic, we are gonna need 2 more keys to defeat Trinex, but for our runners, we only need 1 more.
Alright, looks like Wolfie's basically cleaned out Ice Palace to no effect. I don't remember seeing anything worthwhile. There's a Misery Mire key speaking in pod, speaking of not worthwhile. The only thing that's good for is possibly reading the logic. You need 3 small keys to get the lamp lock chests on the left side, but other than that, they are functionally worthless.
Yeah. That's it's kind of like the same way of Ice Palace. It's nice to have maybe at least 1 to just make your routing a little bit better. But wow, Wolfie is destroying Coaster here.
Okay, Ice Palace was pretty empty. Meanwhile, DevioXS is trying the hammer jump here, so this will at least preserve a key for him and may save him from missing that, having missed that key. The only question will be the 4th sword and where it's at and how accessible it is.
Yeah, if they find the boots, at least they can get the Master Sword on the library. So looks like Wolf is heading to Pod as well, and is also gonna find that small key, vanilla small key. So gonna have 5 keys. So that's gonna make this Pod trip a little bit easier.
Yeah, backup pod really not paying out either. So it looks to me that Misery Mire potentially Turtle Rock are the next best plays.
Yeah, with 2 keys to put Turtle Rock, you could get all the way to Laser Bridge. Oh no, not without the big key. Never mind.
Yeah, you can get to Mimic Cave at this point. Ooh, and he has used his last key, so that could be an issue. Having missed that other key. Oh, there's a third key to Turtle Rock. So I don't know. I would think Mire is probably the next best bet for, at least for our purposes. DevioXS hasn't been to Ice Palace yet, so he is at least likely to go that way. Wulfy, after he finishes in Pod, will probably go to Mire, check the Medallion, Mire Shed, Checkerboard Cave, and possibly be able to get into Mire depending on if it's Bombos. Oh, and the green pendant was nothing. Sad. So basically, it pushed you to do the green pendant so you can get that Turtle Rock small key, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright. Deviox hasn't activated his flute yet, actually, so maybe he's going to do that. He could potentially go to Mire first, I guess, since he's just now activating the flute. Yeah, and wherever the 5th and 6th pod keys are, or no, I'm sorry, where the 6th pod key is, it's going to be very important for Deviox.
Yeah, and in Diviox's mind, going to Myers straight away looks like a pretty good play. I mean, if it's Bombos, there's a lot of items in the Maya area to check.
Yeah, Wulfy also knows the hammer jump, or at least he should, so he's just going to burn this front door key with 5 keys, since you can full clear with 4 with the hammer jump, just to make the routing a little bit less annoying. You don't have to go through the bow side 6 different times to save a key.
Yeah, that's really nice. And it looks like Diviox is going to Meyer. So the medallion is Quake, it looked like. So they can't enter so far. Unless the medallion is here in the Mire Shed, which it seems like it is pretty often.
Yeah, that actually puts them up against an interesting wall for progression that seems like it might be actually forcing them into Turtle Rock without the big key. They are running a little bit dry on locations otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that would kind of be good news for DBX, because that might lead him back to both the Paradox Cave and also checking some overworld stuff, getting that hammer.
I think we've found all the GT small keys now, not that we need them at all. So yeah, Deviox is probably going to go to Ice Palace because they haven't been there at all, or he could go defeat. Oh, he hasn't found the hammer yet, right? So he needs to do that thing that I was talking about, and do the powder purple chest, and just like walk down and get the Grove ledge on his way.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like Deviox is going for that play.
Well, he'll be glad that he did that before going into Ice Palace, assuming that he does the Grove ledge here. Of course, he's gonna have these hammer pegs left behind. We'll see if he goes for the magic bat. No, he's gonna skip it for now, also because he doesn't want to lose the portal. So yeah, he's he's going to. No, he's going to check the powder.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to just shake it while you're here. DVX doesn't really know that he's about to find the hammer.
Well, as long as he flutes back to 3 and then goes back to the Dark World straight away, then we'll know that he's on the right track. And he did need the ice rod, so that's it's good that he did check it.
Yeah, we have found both the GT Big Key and the Ice Rod, two of the most trolley items to find.
Yeah, I didn't think he didn't realize that he was gonna lose his portal. He started to walk back, forgot he didn't have the hammer. Looks like he is going back to the Dark World portal though, so he should be on track to get this hammer.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Wulfy is making their way to Helmazar with silver arrows that just make that fight a little bit easier.
Yeah, it should be pretty quick. I suspect that after he gets done here, he'll go to Mire area and then up to Turtle Rock because he'll be pretty low on options. Meanwhile, I expect DevioXS will probably go to Ice Palace after they find that hammer.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you can go into a crystal dungeon and full clear it, that's always a good play to do in Keysanity.
Wolfie made very nice work of the turtles in that room. Very fast and very clean. Alright, so Helmasaur is our last big chance here for progression, even though it's still logically locked.
Yeah, Helmazar will always be locked by every single small key in pod.
It's possible the 6th pod key is in Turtle Rock, which is where DevioXS really needs it to be because he's probably going to be forced up there anyway, pretty soon.
And just getting a heart, but more important, a crystal. But oh yeah, I just thought that DVX doesn't need another small key, but yeah, he had to open the middle door.
Yeah, he checked every item but the boss, so he has burned through all of his small keys currently. And he is making the play straight to Ice Palace after finding that hammer. Wolfie, meanwhile, going to clean up this green pendant, get his Turtle Rock key, and not much else. Well, he is going to get the Hera small key also, which, will be nice for when they find the big key, they can just route that in. Have we seen a map check on Hera? Because I think we did find that map.
It looks like our tracker has put it in as a pendant.
Oh, so the big key of that might not even be available, so they might have to just go do the basement of Hera.
Yeah, they might check both Spy Cave and the Hera basement before going into Turtle Rock, hoping to find the big key for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, because if they go in there without it, they're gonna get stopped before they can get to Laser Bridge, which it's not ideal. But this seed could be forcing them to dip Turtle Rock to get progression to go get the Turtle Rock key, because that's the sort of thing that tends to happen a lot in Keysanity.
Yeah, for sure. It's you have to kind of find the balance of when to double dip and when to not. Can't be too afraid to double dip, but it's nice to do as few double dips as possible.
So we're still looking for the knowledge on our last pendant, it looks like, so we're still not quite sure of everything that we need for go mode. I guess we don't know what Mire is, so it's possible that Quake isn't necessary.
Yeah, so there's at least 2 keys missing. Either the big key for Mire Desert and the small key for Swamp, because you're gonna need 2 of those.
Yeah, and we're gonna need that last pod key for DevioX's sake, unless he somehow remembers Paradox. Also, for him, he's either gonna need the boots or the fourth sword, unless he again remembers Paradox. We'll be getting the disappointing reward for the green pendant, and probably Turtle Rock, because where else can he really go right now? But he's gonna get. Oh wait, no, he hasn't done the Mire yet, so he's probably gonna do that first. I forgot he hasn't done that yet.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But then he'll be funneled into Turtle Rock because at that point he really won't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, there's not a lot to check except for that right now. There's still that small key. No, not the small key. The small chest in the first chest in Swamp. But that's kind of a big gamble to just. It's a lot of time to just check one chest.
Yeah, if your choices are that one chest and going to Turtle Rock to get all the way to Mimic Cave, you're probably going to want to go to Turtle Rock. And also, while you're up there, you can do the Hera basement and Spike chest or Spike Cave. So that's a lot of stuff together versus that one chest in Swamp. Even though, personally speaking, having had to go to Swamp for the second chest to go get the hammer at least twice, I do understand the temptation of going into Swamp for just a chest or two.
Yeah, I think if you check the first chest in Swamp, it's more of a gamble just to, in case it has something, you can have a really big edge on your opponent. So I think it would be more of doing that instead of actually thinking that it's something required in there.
Yeah, really the best way to do it is if you're like near Hype Cave or something. Otherwise, it's not really worth going out of your way for. But if you're like there and you have all the means to get inside, then why not?
Yeah, so it looks like Wulfy is going to check these other locations first before going into Turtle Rock. And there's also definitely a possibility of finding the big key for Turtle Rock in its vanilla dungeon.
Yeah, I don't blame him for not having the Turtle Rock Big Key. You definitely want to exhaust your possibilities before you're forced to go in there. Meanwhile, Deviox is making their way through Ice Palace, finding the whole lot of nothing that Ice Palace holds for us today. And Wolfie is going to go ahead and do the coffee break here in the Hera basement and hopefully find something of value.
Yeah, we might not see tile room in Ganon's tower, but at least we're gonna see one tile room today.
And it looks like Wolfie was going to just sit there and slash at the tiles, got tired of it real quick. Alright, Deviox doing this fight with the fighter sword, so this is going to be a slightly different fight if he ends up running out of fire rod shots.
Yeah, but looks like he's got it under control. Also has 2 blue potions as well.
Yep, and he took Cold Star down really nice and easy. Oh, there's the pod key for Deviox.
Yes, that's really good news for DevioX.
Now he just needs to find a sword somewhere in, say, Turtle Rock or something like that. And then Paradox Cave will not end up hurting him nearly as much.
Yeah, it's kind of a big difference going from Master Sword to Tempered, but it's definitely doable going through this game with the Master Sword.
Yeah, if the sword happens to be on the way and Wolfie gets it too, that's going to put him at a bit of an advantage. And we have an ironic placement of Cane of Berna in Spike Cave there.
Yeah, that does.
I believe, is that vanilla or is it the cape in vanilla? I can't remember. It's one or the other.
I don't actually know. I haven't played this game in vanilla for so long.
I want to say cape is King's Tomb, and then it leads to Cane of Berna and Spike Cave, if I'm remembering correctly. So Wolfie heading to Turtle Rock now that he is out of things to do. Yeah, Tim Lobo confirming that is vanilla Cane of Berna. Looks like DevioXS is just going straight up to Turtle Rock 2 since he's already exhausted his options outside of. He already went to the Mire area. He did not go to Hera Basement to get that pod key. Hopefully, he does that after this. And interesting that once again we are synced up.
Yeah, we see both of the runners doing some side quests in some different orders, but yeah, most of the times just syncing up.
The sea does have a lot of roadblocks to access, so it makes sense that they're sort of being forced into the same stuff. DVOX having a couple more roadblocks based on missing the stuff that he missed in Paradox Cave, but yeah, for the most part, they don't have much choice but to do what they're doing right now.
Yeah, so the first chest we do have the boots, so sword won't be a problem for DVX.
Immediate payoff, and it opens up. Well, it gets you ether, but ether's not worth anything in the seed. So, but it does open up 2 other locations as well. So he's gonna probably pick up that sword and then check King's Tomb and Bonkrox as soon as possible when he gets done here.
Yeah, and in the fire rod locked chest, we only have 2 big 20s.
So, if the seed wanted to really have fun, it would put the Turtle Rock Big Key in, say, King's Tomb.
Yeah, that would kind of suck. At least for our runners.
It'd just be a normal day in Keysanity, let's be honest.
Yeah, this seed haven't trolled them so too much so far.
Of course, we also have access, a lot of potential to find some more access here further on. Still missing some of these keys for these dungeons that we are not 100% sure on their status of pendant or crystal. Such as the Big Key to Desert Palace that we just found.
Yeah. There's this pause when you open the chest before the text box come up, so I kind of thought it was vanilla first.
So they found 2 pretty big items so far in here, and there's many chests to go. Well, actually, they're going to get stopped pretty quick here. They've only got like a couple things they can actually reach, and more than likely they're going to want to skip this vanilla big key chest. It's not in the logic yet, and it would be kind of dangerous to open it and burn the key. So really, they only have the mimic cave chest left.
Yeah, it makes sense to leave that chest alone if you don't have all 4 small keys.
But that does give them a couple things they can do. They can do the Bonkrox, King's Tomb. They can defeat Desert, but it's not in the logic until they find the small key. So theoretically, the only thing that the Desert Big Key unlocks right now, according to the logic, is the big chest. But why wouldn't you go ahead and defeat it and get your intel on whether it's a pendant or crystal?
Yeah, if it turns out to be a crystal, that does only leave one key left for go mode. At least for Wulfy, DevioXS still need to get that pod small key as well.
Yeah, hopefully he goes over to Hera basement instead of just going off the mountain.
So Mimikay, we have a map for Ganon's Tower. That's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, thus ends our first Turtle Rock adventure of the evening. So I suspect we're going to see some King's Tomb, some Bonk Rocks, and a trip to Desert in short order.
Yeah,
Wulfy also heading straight for that sword upgrade, since it's a pretty quick grab.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if you haven't got tempered yet.
I imagine that DevioXS will probably grab that pretty fast as well, especially since he's still on Fire Sword.
Yeah, and it looks like DevioXS might do a play for the vanilla big chest.
Ooh, that could be interesting. Could be dangerous.
Who knows? Maybe we have a vanilla small key, vanilla big key in the vanilla big chest.
Yeah.
Vanilla big key chest, I mean.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking this gamble, and you see why, because now he's going to have to find that 4 Turtle Rock key before he can complete that dungeon.
Yeah, I would probably agree most of the time.
Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb both not paying out whatsoever, so I think right now the only thing in the logic for progression is in fact the big chest or desert.
Yeah, that and that first chest and swamp.
Ah, right, the first chest of swamp. I can't believe I forgot about my best friend already.
That's why it's trolly, because you don't really think about it too much.
So the question is, are we gonna find something good here in the big chest of swamp or desert? Perhaps the Turtle Rock big key for key.
Yeah, sure, why not? And with all the information we have, Turtle Rock was most likely a double dip required.
Of course, if it's not here, that means they're gonna have to go to swamp probably just for that one key or that one chest, and it looks like that might be on the table because that was just a map.
Yeah, that could definitely be possible, unless there's something on Lamola. That would be a sequence break, but they could sequence break around having to go into swamp. Maybe if it's like the small key to swamp on Lamolas.
Potentially, but unless Linemolas has something that they can get them around this, I think we are looking at the first chest of swamp progression. It's not super likely to be the small key anymore, so it's potentially something that they're going to have to go into swamp to get to go somewhere else.
Yeah, so DevioXS did not go to pick up that pod key and is instead going back into Skullwoods to do a second battle against Mofula.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not going to have a choice. They're going to have to go to Hera Basement or Paradox Cave, one or the other, in order to finish the game. And I suspect that maybe they don't realize that they skipped those chests in Paradox Cave because they would have gone back for them.
Yeah, I think so as well. So once again we see the power of the silver arrows versus bosses.
Alright, first chest of swamp. I believe we are on the way. And we found our last pendant in desert. So the small key of swamp is also a vital thing that we're going to need to find. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Turtle Rock Big Key and Swamp to Swamp Small Key on Laser Bridge. I don't know. I'm just thinking of ways the seed could get them right now.
Yeah, that would definitely be, be interesting.
Wolfie is choosing to go back to the Village of Outcast area, though. Did he not do Graveyard Ledge?
Trying to think back. I don't think so.
Oh, also, I
But
just
I
realized.
also don't think it was anything important.
I also just remembered we're missing the Thieves Town Big Key as well. So, Thieves Town Big Key, Misery Mire Big Key, Quake, and Swamp Small Key. I think we're going to need all of those items if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you see, I think you're definitely right about that. And the wolf is checking the lumberjack. I think it was just a bomb upgrade.
Yeah, so that's still a pretty decent amount of items for Go mode at this point. I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see Quake somewhere deep in Swamp or Turtle Rock.
Yeah, right now they're just looking for that one thing that's gonna open up the rest of the seed.
Does not appear Wolfie did Graveyard Ledge, so once he does that, I want to say that he'll be out of things other than Swamp First Chest. DevioXS still might have a couple other checks left on the table.
Yeah, DVX has at least hammer pegs left as well.
Plus, he never did the Spike Cave and the Harrow Basement, which might prompt him to also go back to Pod before he does the Swamp area. Yeah, Wolfie was probably hoping that was the Swamp Small Key, and definitely going to be disappointed on that one. Wolfie is going to Swamp. I think he knows what's up.
Yeah, so maybe it's the vanilla small key in swamps, and in that case, the double dip in Turtle Rock might not have been required.
I don't know. I'm feeling progression to get the Swamp Small Key somewhere in the first chest here.
Yeah,
It's also interesting that the stuff they found in Turtle Rock actually didn't lead them anywhere. I mean, boots are nice to have, but also not double dipping Turtle Rock is nice as well.
yeah, that's definitely nice.
Not entirely sure where DevioXS is going, unless he's going to Swamp the long way.
And we have a big key for Feaston.
Well, it was progression. It was. I was expecting possibly Turtle Rock Big Key, but Thieves Town is just as trolly, I suppose. This is the real beauty of version 28, because in version 27, that chest was either going to be the Swamp Small Key or just nothing that helped you. But now you can be expected to get that one chest to go somewhere and do something else and then come back, which makes that a much more interesting chest in this game.
Yeah, for sure. So that big key for Feaston unlocks 4 new chest locations.
Yeah, and it's highly unlikely that it's all three of the things they still need are in here, so it's probably going to get like one item that'll lead them somewhere else. But will it be Quake, the Swamp Small Key, or the Turtle Rock Big Key? The Swamp Small Key would be probably the most funny find in here.
Yeah, that would be kind of mean of the seed, but So far, the seed haven't been too mean, so why not?
Yeah, outside of that that Thieves Town big key, which basically forced them to go dip Turtle Rock, because why would you assume that the one thing you need is in that one chest versus those those 5 or 6 chests? It wasn't strictly necessary for them to do that dip of Turtle Rock, but who wouldn't do that dip of Turtle Rock in that situation?
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
going for the higher chest density is usually a better play. And oh, we have Butter Sword.
well, that is also good for DVOX, so he does not have to deal with Paradox Cave at all, and he'll end up on Tempered and get his last key without having to go back there. So forgetting that was potentially a big problem, but it looks like he'll be able to get around it, provided that he goes to Hero Basement and remembers to do that. But yeah, so far nothing much here that progresses us, but we've got a couple more chests incoming. And DVOX taking this bait for the screen, or this, what was it, blue pendant for Desert?
Yeah, and I don't blame DevioXS for doing that. As you said before, that that first chest in Swamp is just not a play you usually do.
And
And wow,
there it is, the Swamp Small Key from the Thieves Town Big Key in the first chest of Swamp.
so double dip into Swamp required. Now I kind of want the big chest for Swamp. And Turtle Rock.
We did find our Turtle Rock Big Key as well, so we did find 2 of the 3 items we were missing.
Oh yeah, that's an excellent find. So I think they don't have the big key for Mire as well, so they're gonna have to have both that key and Quake.
Oh, it was 5 things, wasn't it? I can't count. So the real question is, where's the Mire package hiding? Is it deep in the swamp on the left side, perhaps, or is it on the laser bridge? Which direction do you go first? Without having the 4th Turtle Rock key, I want to say you go to Swamp first. Just in case.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just because now I want the big key for Swamp in like Laser Bridge or something. So it's gonna be a triple dip on Swamp instead of a double dip.
That would be pretty rude. And they've already been burned by that Turtle Rock dip once, because that first dip did not lead them anywhere, so that would also prompt me to want to go to Swamp first, because I've already been to Turtle Rock once. I got some items, but they didn't get me anywhere, so let's go ahead and do Swamp, because I can get just about everything out of there and clear the crystal. Now what'll be interesting is if, say, the big key of Mire is in Swamp and the Quake is in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that would be interesting as well, because that would force them to do another climb up the tower as well. No, not the tower, the mountain.
Or if it wanted to be really, we'll say fun, they could have Quake deep in Turtle Rock, nothing in Swamp, and then the big key of Mire inside of Mire.
Yeah, that would be kind of mean as well.
We got 8 more chests that they can check here in Swamp, so there's a lot of potential for these last 2 items to be anywhere.
Yeah, starting off with a big 20, and the DevioXS is going up Death Mountain again. I think we're gonna see a Hera Basement here.
Yeah, which will get him the last thing that he really needed to keep the seed progressing. Now he'll be able to kill Helmasaur. It might push him away from that first chest of swamp for a little bit, but he's also going to run out of options pretty quick.
Yeah, at least going to kill Helmasaur is something you're gonna have to do sooner or later. So it won't be in a time waste in that sense.
Yeah, he's already cleaned out the dungeon, so it's not as if putting him into go mode would make any of that faster. So far, Swamp, not too interesting. Oh, big key to... Ooh, Hera.
Oh. Yeah,
Oh,
we might be
boy.
seeing an old dungeon Keysanity here. And to be fair, that's basically the majority of Keysanity seats.
Whoops. Not the big key they're looking for right now, not what they want to see. So...
So Trolldorm is gonna have like the mushroom or the shovel now, right?
It could be at this point. This started out kind of okay and basically linear, forcing them into certain areas, and it's still kind of funneling them a little bit. They do have options on the table. They can do Hera or Turtle Rock, and in this situation, I think you would go to Turtle Rock before you would do Hera, and just hope for the best. But maybe one of the pieces is in Hera and one of them is in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, especially in Wolf's case, because they have enough keys to defeat Trinex, and skipping that vanilla big key chest, we know it's not gonna hurt them.
Yeah, and I did forget. DevioXS also does have to find that fourth Turtle Rock key. That's going to be a problem for them. So they are not actually out of the woods yet as far as finding their progression, unless the Turtle Rock key is somewhere along the way here. Which so far it's not in the front of Swamp. What's really going to hurt is if the way to get the Turtle Rock key is somehow tied to going back into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, there's definitely possibility for finding a vanilla small key.
Alright, we're going to get into the back of Swamp here while DevioXS goes to defeat Helmasaur and clear out Pod for the rest of the way. And then I want to say after Helmasaur that DevioXS will be in the same situation of being forced to do... or no, he went back to Skullwoods, right? So he should be forced into the same situation of going to Swamp small chest, or first chest.
Yeah. And yeah, so far only the first chest really in Swamp having any value at all, unless there's something in Hera.
Yeah, and I definitely would say go to Turtle Rock before you go to Hera. Unless you're DevioXS and you don't have the fourth key that you need, in which case maybe go to Hera first and hope that the Turtle Rock small key is in there.
Yeah, and as soon as we find that fourth small key, the Pyramid Ferry will be in logic as well.
Yeah, with Turtle Rock being the one of the 5-6 crystals, having the Pyramid Fairy be a thing would be pretty trolly, because you need so many keys for it to happen.
Yeah, both Pod and Turtle Rock being the... No, it was Skullwoods, never mind. It was Skullwoods and Turtle Rock being the 5-6.
So Swamp was a bust outside of the Thieves Town Big Key from the front, unless Hera has something, which seems like it could be possible right now. I imagine that Wulfy is going to do Turtle Rock first.
Yeah, I think so.
Or I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Hera
okay.
is a pretty quick check, so I could see the value of just knocking it out first.
Yeah, I mean both plays has good arguments for which one is better to do first.
Plenty of people have been burned by ignoring pendant dungeons, so it can be people can be a little leery of doing so.
Yeah, and DevioX finishing off Helmasaur getting that. Is it his 4th crystal?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's the 3rd crystal.
Oh right, yeah, well, those are both pendants, aren't they? Meanwhile, Wulfy, he's on 5 crystals and about to be 3 pendants. But we know that the pedestal isn't anything, so no pulls today.
Yeah, and only some pieces of heart so far in Hera, so it's up to good old Troldrome.
Yeah, if Moldarm doesn't have, say, a Turtle Rock small key, or either Quake or the Misery Mire big key, then this is totally pointless right now. But you never know, so it's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, so moment of truth then. It's Quake.
There we go, payoff. So one piece in Hera, the real question is it a vanilla big key, or do you have to go to Turtle Rock, say the Laser Bridge, to find the other piece of Misery Mire? Ideally, I think in this situation you would want it to be in Turtle Rock so that you could just go mode Mire.
Yeah, because at this point you're gonna check Turtle Rock first, either way, because you're already up here.
So it's interesting. 2 pendant bosses required for progression, essentially. Eastern was required to get a small key that will actually get them through the dungeon. Depending on where the 4th small key is, it might even be the most convenient way to have found the correct amount of keys.
Yeah. Now having that Quake, it wouldn't surprise me if the last Turtle Rock key is in Mire.
Which would be very unfortunate for DevioX. Who is, as we speak, on their way to get both the Swamp Small Key and the Turtle Rock Big Key. And I imagine they would probably go to Swamp as well first.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it kind of all depends on, because as more and more time progress here, people might be willing to do different kind of gambles as well if you're feeling behind.
Yeah, having burned his small key, I feel like he has actually more incentive to skip out of Turtle Rock for now than Wulfy did. Alright, nothing in this first chest, so we've got the roller room chest, laser bridge, and Trinex himself for our progression.
Yeah, and having both the cane and the cape and the boots and the half magic. They have basically everything they need to just do laser bridge without even worrying.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any issues. Wolfie's probably pretty good at laser skip. A trick that I am pretty garbage at, but some players make it look super easy, and more power to them. Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job. Very smooth laser skips.
Yeah, so nothing so far. We have a small key for skull boots, and that was actually and vanilla small key. Wow.
All right, well, so DevioXS is good to come back into Turtle Rock, but what is Wolfie doing?
Oh, he's gonna check the vanilla big chest.
Oh, right, because that was his fourth key.
But yeah,
So
I was kind of afraid that he was gonna leave first.
that's good news for DevioXS, I guess. That I don't know. That could be good or bad news. That's a pretty trolly place for your last Turtle Rock key to be. He might be prompted to go to Mire to try to find it before he goes to Turtle Rock to get to look for the Mire big key. But then again, if the Mire big key is inside of Mire, he could put himself into go mode and be able to skip all these chests in Turtle Rock. So there could be benefits to both ways.
Yeah, no, he can't skip them because he still needs that small key. So he's probably gonna check everything in Turtle Rock anyway.
Oh, right, you're right, because that where the key is, he literally can't skip. So, yeah, if he goes to Mire first, he's gonna end up checking basically all the chests. So, yeah, that actually isn't gonna work out for him in either case. Good point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of some of the locations that DVS missed in the beginning, he's a little bit behind right now.
Yeah, the real question is the Mire Big Key vanilla or on Trinex? That will also determine a little bit how this could possibly go for DevioXS at the end here.
Yeah, and with that laser bridge, with a key to Skullwoods and the key for Turtle Rock, both Trinax and Mothula are in logic, so it could be in Fast Fury as well.
That is true. We should find out pretty shortly if Trinax is our answer. He has Butter Sword. It's going to be a pretty quick fight. And I think maybe in this situation you'd want to do Pyramid Fairy before you did Mire if the key isn't here. Just because it might save you a little bit of grief.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like that's the direction that wulfy has been playing this seed, just checking other chests before going into dungeons that you're not sure you can complete.
Alright, Trinex, very smooth kill for Wolfie. And we get the moment of truth. Nothing. So I imagine Pyramid Fairy, and then if it's not Pyramid Fairy, the key is somewhere inside Misery Mire, which Wolfie should also be pretty aware of because he's done a pretty good job of cleaning everything up.
Yeah, it's gonna be either that or some form of fetch quest inside of Mire leading to the big key.
Yeah, either way, he'll know that Mire is his only option after the Pyramid Fairy if that doesn't pay out.
So he did not start at Link's house, so maybe he's going to Mire right away.
Well, I was gonna say he might have just wanted the quick heal, but apparently he is gonna do Mire before the Pyramid Fairy. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to do this for safety's sake, just because could lead to a double dip at Mire if the answer is at Pyramid Fairy, but maybe he's feeling like the seed is just trolling him at this point and it's totally vanilla, and he might also feel a little bit behind.
Yeah, with how this seed's playing out in the end here, it's never nice to have the last possible location to be your progression. So that could definitely be something that makes you feel behind.
DevioXS picking up his Hera big key, so we'll see if he goes to Hera before he tries Turtle Rock. I would imagine missing that small key that he would want to go to Hera first.
Yeah, and it looks like he's skipping the left side, at least for now. Might be going back in after finishing this up, having found basically nothing except for the big key for Hera. But if he decides to skip the left side, it's actually going to pay off.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous to skip things in Keysanity, but this one would be one that's worthwhile, and if you feel behind, one that people might be more inclined to take.
Oh
no!
The big key for Swamp in Mire. Wow.
Well, we have found all of the big keys except for the one that we want.
Yeah, that's a very annoying fetch quest to have.
So when you're done here, do you do Pyramid Fairy or do you do the Swamp Big Chest first?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Both are equal time sinks, it seems like, or it feels like.
Yeah, so if the Mire big key is in Swamp, that's would be a required triple dip in Swamp.
Oh boy. So we went from linear to rudely linear here at the end. Keysanity is pretty capable of having some crazy item chains. The other night there was a race where they had to get the book from Thieves Town to go to the Ether Tablet to get the Desert Small Key to go get a pod key out of the right side of Desert. And actually, I think I'm probably missing a piece of that chain, and that was all for one small claw key that was required. Item chains are pretty strong in Keysanity.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard sometimes to know when to follow them and when to just leave them behind, because sometimes they can just lead you astray as well.
Oh, I remember actually, now that we're in Swamp, it was actually Ether Tab to Swamp Big Key to Desert Small Key to Pod Small Key. So that was the piece I was missing. DevioXS decided not to skip left side. Guess they were just kind of hoping to find what they needed in the back, but they were missing enough items that probably wasn't going to work out for them. Well, there's the mushroom.
Oh.
Now, the interesting thing about the mushroom is, though, it's not actually in logic, because they don't have that third Misery Mire key, so I don't know if I'd want to do that first among their options, although it would be the easiest one to do with the fluid.
Yeah, so the big key is not in Mire.
Of course, if it's here, then that just means the small Misery Mire key is either in the Swamp Big Chest or in Pyramid Fairy, and they could just be cutting out part of the chain, which would be very ideal.
Yeah, for sure. So this is just a heart container.
Alright, I think we're going to hit up the Pyramid Fairy next. Boy, oh boy, we're getting some fun stuff in the back of the seat here.
Yeah, I'm gonna call the Desert's small key and shovel in Pyramid Fairy.
all of the fetch quests remaining. Maximum troll would definitely be the swamp big chest at this point, because that would be a logically required and unbreakable triple dip of swamp.
Yeah, that would that would be something for sure. So the logic in Mire doesn't require any small keys to defeat the dungeon, but the chest on the left side that's fire locked require 3 small keys, because you could actually lock yourself out of those 2 locations.
Yeah, so while the small Mire keys are not functionally helpful, they can help you logically, like in that case, potentially read that mushroom wasn't actually a thing that you needed to worry about.
So Pyramid Fairy has the big key for Mire. That's
Oh, there we go. Sad. We didn't get our triple dip of swamp. I'm just kidding. That's not sad. Don't hate me, runners. That's actually very good news.
Yeah, we got a double dip. That's not super common. So yeah, so interesting. Wulfy could have go moded Mire if they went to Pyramid Fair first.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Always that you might always want to exhaust your options, and, so you can prevent things like this double dip of Mire that you didn't need to do.
Yeah, so DevioXS going into to Hera is gonna get the Quake medallion, and hopefully goes into Turtle Rock after that, because so gonna have to defeat Turtle Rock before getting that big key for Mire.
That's what he needs to do, but missing that Turtle Rock key, is that what he's going to want to do is the question.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame DevioXS for just making the play for Mire, but being up here, hopefully just decides to go into Turtle Rock.
It would be more convenient to go to Turtle Rock, but he could also be afraid of having to do that triple dip, which would be the worst as far as time sinks go. Not going to be much worse than, say, double dipping Mire and then having to go back up to Turtle Rock anyway, but, you know, either way, he's in a position that's not very enviable.
Yeah, so either way, it's gonna have a lot of time to catch up right now, because every moment that Wulfy can go mode this game is time is gonna be ahead.
Yeah, missing that small key, he's taking the Mire bait, which is pretty understandable. It's not going to be very helpful to him, but it is pretty understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, Wolfie is almost to Vitreous and his last crystal, and in which case he will have the full set of dungeons completed, pendants as well, and then he'll be on his way to Ganon's Tower, but he won't have to check anything there, so there's that at least.
Yeah, with red mail, half magic, body sword, silver arrows, there's really nothing else you want. Even gets another heart from Vitreous.
Yeah, he has no reason to open anything upstairs, downstairs, or anywhere, so he can. I don't know if they have the compass. If they do, you can see that sweet 0 out of 27 items the whole way through Ganon's Tower. It's nice to look at.
Yeah, that's for sure one of my favorite parts of Keysanity is when you can just go mode Ganon's Tower. No need to check anything in the basement.
Yeah, so DevioXS, I imagine, is probably going to turn the mushroom in. I really hope they don't go to the swamp big chest before they go back to Turtle Rock, but I see it as a potential possibility, because they could, I mean, they're really worried about that Turtle Rock small key they need.
Yeah, and that's gonna be really unfortunate if that's the case. But I would definitely see the logic in doing that.
Of course, at that point, you're left with the option of, do I triple dip Swamp or do I potentially triple dip Turtle Rock? Because one's a guarantee and one's just a maybe. So I don't know. Turtle Rock seems like it might be good to roll the dice on it and just go for it, but we'll have to see what it is that he chooses to do.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Wulfy is arriving at Ganon's tower. So there is 22 chests in the basement of Ganon's tower. We won't be checking a single one because we have everything we need to defeat this game. Wulfy will be going straight up and just going for Agatu.
He does have the compass, so we get to watch that. We get to look at that 0 out of 27, which is always fun to see. And considering how much the sea dragged them around, he's definitely going to be putting up a good time for this finish.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was kind of a linear seed in the beginning, and I mean, pretty much through the whole race, as we mentioned before. But it wasn't always linear in a nice way.
Yeah, it really never gave them a huge amount of options that they were just like could go everywhere. Other than their initial Dark World access, maybe that was probably the part where they had the most options to choose from.
Yeah, so Wulfy is making quick work of the gauntlet here. One-shotting everything with both the arrows and the sword.
Did
Fire.
DevioX? Oh, DevioX forgot a chest, it looks like, because he mirrored out and then came right back in. And it looks like that's going to be him forcing a triple dip on Mire, which is definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, I think he forgot the chest. Just oh, okay, never mind. It was the bridge chest. I was thinking of the chest after you get the big chest.
Meanwhile, Wulfy just destroyed the gauntlet. Got a first cycle on the landmos with the silver arrows. Very nice.
Yeah, also getting one cycle on those whiz ropes is really nice.
Alright, so where's DevioX gonna go? Is he probably gonna turn in the mushroom, I guess, and then will he go to Turtle Rock? Or will he take the swamp bait? He's gonna take the swamp bait. That's not good.
Yeah, so hopefully it's just like a big 20 or something, so it doesn't lead him even further astray.
Yeah, you're seeing the consequences of opening that door. It can really lead you to some bad things, because now he wants to full clear the world to find that fourth key. Meanwhile, it's just sitting on Laser Bridge and probably the worst possible spot for him.
Yeah, and since he knows that his opponent most likely didn't do that, I think that kind of makes it even more logical to go into Swamp, because that's probably the last location that your opponent is going to check.
Yeah, things we don't want to see here are the shovel or the desert small key. I think that might be the few things left that would cause him to run around to different places.
Yeah, and wulfy is starting his Agatu fight. Getting a first single hit. Getting decent position there, but getting some blue balls as well.
That one missed a couple of shots on that one. Sometimes it can be hard to line up when they line up weird like that, but that was that a triple?
Yeah, finishing off with a nice triple.
And silver arrows, gold sword. He has the cape. He might even have a potion. I don't know. He's pretty set up for this fight, so Ganon's gonna go down pretty hard and pretty fast.
Yeah, Ganon won't be too much of a problem here.
Alright, DevioXS finding 50 rupees in the Swamp Big Chest, so nothing that will lead him into weird places.
Okay, so that's good news at least. And wulfy is going for the dash strats against Ganon. Getting one cycle on the first two phases. So just one more hit and he will be in phase 4. And yes, Ganon, we did find the silver arrows in the light world. And getting a nice double hit there with the silvers, and the fourth one. So wulfy is done. Only needs to finish crossing this bridge, and we'll get his time.
Yeah, wulfy finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 15 seconds, and finishing first place in his race. That puts him at, 3-1?
Yeah, it should be 3-1 now. So still in the race of getting into that tiebreaker race.
And he should be joining us shortly for an interview. Meanwhile, DevioXS is doing what he needs to do and going back into Turtle Rock, where he will be able to find that last key, and then he will find what was it that he found in here that he needed? Oh yeah, it was the Pyramid Fairy, right? He needs the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah. So we're joined now by wulfy. Big GGs to you.
Hey, thanks. That was a pretty silly seed right there.
Yeah,
the end was really trolley.
There was a lot of linearity in that seed, but not necessarily in a nice way. It was dragging you around a lot. And how did you like that that swamp there?
Oh man, if I had gone in there earlier, that'd be nice.
Yeah, Turtle Rock was a very attractive option that unfortunately did not lead you anywhere before you found the big key, so it was definitely not necessary to double dip it, but when faced with those two options, most people would definitely take the option that you took.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you guys were synced up a lot in this race at various times, and Turtle Rock entry was one of those times.
So, how's he doing right now?
He is about to be, he's going back to Turtle Rock to finish it right now. He unfortunately spent his key on the middle door, and he was looking around for the last one, including in Mire and at the Mushroom and in the Swamp Big Chest.
I see. And the last one was on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, basically not where you want it to be when that's all you need to find. And he got a little bit behind, I think, because he accidentally skipped a pod key in Paradox Cave, but other than that, yeah, there was a lot of sync between you two. Oh, and he also you found the hammer quicker based on your routing.
Right.
You did the purple chest right away. So, what were your overall thoughts on the seed? Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had fun. Lots of interesting trolls. Also, really health starved in the beginning.
Yeah, we were wondering. 3 hearts.
Skull Woods was a pretty attractive option, except for the fact that I had no health.
Yeah, 3 hearts and green mail, but it gave you the setup to basically defeat Skull Woods. But who would really want to in that situation?
I ended up going back with 6 hearts and the Master Sword.
Yeah, I think you both made that decision. Going back after checking Death Mountain, which definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and it sent you into pod, or you had the setup to do pod, and there wasn't a lot there. I had the setup to do Ice Palace, and there really wasn't anything in there.
Yeah.
So it was dragging you around, but not necessarily paying off for anything.
Nice to be able to clear pod in one trip, though.
Yeah, he skipping that pod key, he unfortunately had also doubled it there, so that hurt him a little bit too.
Yeah, also DVX went into pod without the hammer.
Ah, right. Then yeah, I forgot about that too. So he had to burn the front door key as well.
So you're moving up to 3-1 now in the Swiss. So one more win, and you're in the tiebreaker race.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see all the 4-0 and 3-1 races next week.
Yeah, something like 32 people. Well, I think some people have already dropped, so it's probably slightly less at this point. Something like 30 people that could end up being in that tiebreaker race.
And how many people from that race will move on?
I believe it's 1 person from that race.
Yeah, it kind of depends. I think it's definitely at least 1, but it could possibly be 2.
I think based on the math, that there will be 7 people that are 5-0, and then so that would leave 1 spot. But I could be wrong. That's what I've been seeing thrown around a lot, though. Is that 1 person, basically, somebody has to win the 30-person race to, in order to progress to the brackets, which is an interesting thing to have on your shoulders. But GG on making it to 3-1 here and still being in the running for that.
Yep, thank you.
You had a lot of really smooth fights this seed. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with how I was playing overall.
Yeah, 206 to basically full clear, the entire world. It's pretty good. And, I mean, it wasn't a pedestal seed, but it might as well have been, right?
Yeah, I did get every pendant.
It's hard not to take the bait when you get the big key. Unfortunately, finding that big key in that desert or in the Turtle Rock, and it didn't lead to anything in desert. So
yeah, I did for Turtle Rock. I left my portal so that if I found the Turtle Rock big key in the light world, I could have just gone back to the portal. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
Alright, DVOX just went into go mode, so he's about to head to Mire and clean that up. Yeah, 2 of the pendant bosses basically required because Eastern having that Turtle Rock small key was pretty essential considering where the last one was.
Yeah.
DevioXS entering Mire. He's just got the boss to get. I doubt he's going to go for the big chest because he has essentially everything he needs.
Yeah, the only thing he
well,
could possibly want right now would be the butter sword, but I don't think he's gonna check anything in.
Yeah, I don't think the butter sword's worth going out of your way for, and especially in his case because he left the butter sword behind a while ago. Did he already open the door over here? He doesn't have a key, so... Or did he never get this key into the pot, I guess? Oh yeah, he did open the door. Interesting.
Yeah, I think he opened it and then he realized that he didn't have the big key, so he mirrored out, and that's why he had to go back in for that last chest.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Should be a quick fight for Vitreous here. He's got silver arrows. A whole 65 of them, in fact.
Yeah, and if we haven't mentioned it before, go ahead and follow our runners. They've been putting up a really good show, working hard for our entertainment.
And also shout out again to our tracker Tim Lobo and our restreamer Maximum Barnage, and to the whole crew behind this behind the scenes putting this tournament on. Shout outs to Walter for joining me in commentary at the last second. Give everybody a follow.
Yeah, and shout outs to you as well, Resilero. So, and yeah, Maximum Barnage and Team Lobo doing great work behind the scenes. This wouldn't be possible without them. So yeah, Vitreous goes down, nice and easy.
Alright, so we're just a Ganon's Tower climb away, and then a Ganon fight away from the end here for DevioXS. So, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little less.
Yeah, this should be pretty quick Ganon's Tower, I think. Might possibly check the 4 chests on the way up for a sword, but most likely not. Has so much defenses anyway. And if red mail and 15 hearts wasn't enough, I do believe that DevioXS still has 2 blue potions as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what DevioXS has to say about the Paradox Cave.
Yeah, I would imagine that they just don't know that at all that they skipped it. I'm actually curious as to how that happened, because they got to the chests in the same room.
Yeah, I have a really hard time to see that that was intentional. It's one of those things that sometimes you just forget one location. It's just unfortunate when it's happened to be a place that has 5 chests and happen to have a sword and a key that you would need.
And it always feels a little bit worse when when you walk by something and you just don't go in it. It's one, but when it's basically right there and you can actually technically see it, it might be a little bit of a worse feeling. But luckily, it didn't bite him in it too hard, other than having to search for that last pod key. But he would have had to go to Hera anyway, probably, just based on where everything was. It could have definitely ended a little bit worse off for him had there been anything else really good there. Overall, still doing a really good job cleaning this seed up. Gonna finish with a pretty respectable time for full clearing the world.
Yeah, for sure. And not having Butter Sword isn't gonna hurt in the way up in Ganon's tower, because it's still gonna one-shot all the enemies here.
Yeah, nice little cannonball or dash, cane dash across the cannonball bridge. You don't see that too often. I don't know why I never thought of that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a good way of saving some time. Don't have to worry about all the cannonballs.
Max asking what the item count for Wolfie was. I didn't actually catch it, to be honest. It was probably semi-high though, because all he was able to ignore overall was really Ganon's tower. I would say probably 180-ish.
Yeah, must have been somewhere around there.
Alright, DevioXS through the gauntlets, getting to the slightly easier rooms of Ganon's tower here. Nice one cycle on the Wizrobes. Going with some lamp strats here, which is interesting. Half magic and fire rod, I think, is probably a little faster.
Yeah, it might just be like a muscle memory or something.
Yeah, I can see the just not feeling like wasting or using too much magic because you're not sure that you're gonna have enough for the next room if you miss. Oh, 169 apparently was Wolfie's count. That's pretty good, I guess. He was able to skip. He was able to skip right side desert, all of Ganon's tower, whatever was in the shovel spots. There's also the stuff that he saw and didn't pick up, so that would have dropped it a little bit too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. Everything that you look at is something that you mentally check, but the game won't read it as that you actually have checked it.
Yeah, I wish there was a way around that, but there's no real good way to program that, I think. Because it would be nice to get an accurate count of like things you checked versus things that you actually picked up. Because most of the time, whatever your number is, it needs to be at least 10 higher, if not more.
Yeah. Aga doesn't really want to play nice here, but DevioXS has something to say about that. Getting two doubles to finish it off.
Yep, and DevioX coming into this fight with tempered instead of butter, but still pretty nice setup. He's got the cape if he really wants to use it. He's got the silver arrows. He's pretty loaded for this. Take a few more slashes on his part than for Wulfy, but still not too bad.
Yeah, and getting a nice position here for the second phase.
Yeah, being in the corner and able to do some spins instead of slashes is pretty nice. Almost managing to hook through all those fire bats, not quite.
Yeah, still have plenty of hearts, so and some potions, so probably won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, this part of the fight, you don't really get your chances of getting hit are a lot lower. So
yeah.
Alright, phase 4 begins. Got our first hit. Not worrying about the torch glitch, which you don't really need to when you have silver, so it's not necessarily worth getting.
Yeah, so only one more hit, and Ganon will be down. There we go.
DevioX finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 25 seconds. This will put him at 2-2 for next week.
Yeah, and 2-2 is a good result. There's a lot of competition in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm a member of the 2-2 club myself right now.
Yeah, it's a big GG's to DevioX. We're gonna see if they want to come in for a little bit of post-game interview here.
Yeah, he posted earlier that he was having some possible power problems, but hopefully those are straightened out. Yeah, it looks like he'll be here in just a second.
Yeah, it's a big GG's to both our runners. They made a really good work of this seed.
Okay, there we go. Took a little detour. DevioX, GG.
GG.
Yeah, GG for sure. So, what are your thoughts about this seed?
It was a little linear near the end there for a while.
Yeah, and how do you feel about the vanilla big key chest of Turtle Rock?
Yeah, I thought about like not doing it. I was like, I figured in order to have like a decent chance at winning this one, I would have to take like some ridiculous chances, and so that was kind of one of them. It didn't pay off, and I really wish I'd like set up for like I don't know, like a reset or something, but
Yeah, it would have been hard to do because you did get the boots in the front, and even though they didn't lead you to anything, it was nice to have.
it was great having it relatively early. I don't know when Wolfie got them, but
Well,
You
there
kind
was
of
actually a lot of sync, and you guys entered Turtle Rock
So I
at
just
the
figured
same
out a way to
time. That
save
was
up.
one of the times that you were synced up.
huh, interesting.
so speaking about taking some chances and gambles, I'm guessing that Paradox Cave wasn't part of that. Because you didn't check the 5 top chests in Paradox.
Oh, I didn't do that. I guess I don't know what I was thinking then at that point.
Yeah, so what you missed out on was Butter Sword, well, eventually, and
Okay.
the last pod key, which probably would have saved you a little bit of trouble.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, that was. I must have got a couple steps ahead of myself at that point.
Yeah, that's what we probably figured as well.
Mm-hmm.
To answer chat, no, the Turtle Rock Big Key was not vanilla. We were talking about the chest that it's normally in.
Yeah. Yeah, it just had a piece of heart, right? Something like that.
Yeah. So you guys actually routed, did stuff in a pretty different order. He had the hammer a little bit before you.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still kind of fun. You guys synced up a lot despite that. You entered Desert about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You entered Turtle Rock about the same time. You were in Skull Woods about the same time. There was a lot of sync going on, really, despite the different routing that you were taking.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I took a very weird route, mainly because I think like there were just no hearts early on, and I was like, okay, let's go, let's break sequence, go to Death Mountain. Got like a good amount of stuff there, but I was just in need of a little bit of safety early on.
Yeah, nobody wants to do Mothula with 3 hearts and green mail, so it's pretty understandable.
Right. And it just went, because I can do that dark room easily enough, and the Lost Old Man, and there are a bunch of chests I could pick up there, so it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, and sequence breaking up to Death Mountain was a really good play because that flute was on Catfish. That was a pretty long way to go just to get flute.
Right. Yeah. There was a time where I seemed to be. I was thinking I was making a lot of good decisions that paid off, and like getting just like the flute for one. Routing that out was because I wanted to go to Pod, right, and you could probably tell that because I was heading over there. I had the flippers and everything like that to go there from the west Dark World, and I was like, well, why don't I check out this stuff while I'm at it? Route a couple things in. It turned out pretty fortuitous.
Yeah, once we saw Lamp on Mountain, we knew that Flute was probably pretty available because of all the items you were finding, and it was just a question of where that Flute was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and speaking of value, how about that hype cave with?
That was a very good hype cave. What was it?
Yeah.
Mirror, fire. What? No, not fire rod.
It was mirror, hookshot, and the
Hookshot.
book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it gave you the tools to full clear the mountain. I mean, not logically, but it gave you the tools to full clear it otherwise.
Oh yeah. Once I got that, I was like, Death Mountain just seemed like the play, and I kind of like the lamp is not having the lamp as a sequence break in a number of those cases, but I usually just kind of forget about it, and like eventually I'll get the lamp, or maybe not, and that's fine too.
Yeah, you actually put up a pretty good time for full clearing the world. Probably mostly hurt by not getting the hammer
Mhm.
right away, and then
Yeah,
the key situation with Pod and Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock. That I should have gone into Turtle Rock the second time a bit faster, but like, I had like a power surge. There's a storm going on, and like it. You may have noticed in Misery Mire, there's like one point where like my monitors actually turned off, and everything like reset position, and so I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
I saw you pause for a bit, and I wasn't sure what you were doing until I saw your comment. But I can
Yeah.
understand why you would have put off Turtle Rock because you were faced with a situation where you were definitely going to triple dip Swamp,
Mm-hmm.
which is semi close to where to get to, or you were possibly going to triple dip Turtle Rock, which is a little less attractive. So I could see the reasoning behind wanting to search everywhere for that last key, except for where it was, which was the worst spot it could be in your situation.
Yeah, laser bridge. Yeah, so yeah. To be honest, I forgot I had the Turtle Rock big key for a while, probably due to the storm going on. Had I been thinking a little more clearly, I think I might have been more likely to make that play.
Yeah, it was. I think the most fun part of the seed was probably the Thieves Town big key, which led to the Swamp big key, and where
Yeah,
or the small key. I mean,
I was like, oh well, right back to Swamp.
it's one of
Because
those named Keysanity trolls.
oh yeah, because when I went into Swamp for the first time, that was the very last place possible, and I was like, okay, there's got to be something here. And then, of course, it leads you right back in right after.
Yeah, Wolfie actually was in the same situation. He got there a little bit sooner, but
Mhm.
both of you basically whittled the world down to that one location, and it was like, okay, well, this is definitely something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only a case of which of the 5 missing items is it going to be.
Right. Yeah, that was wild. It was a little scary early on, but turned out pretty well once things got a little under control.
So, any final thoughts for the night?
Um, I don't know. GG. I hope Wolfie does well. I'd like to, thank everyone who is making this tournament happen. It's a lot of time and effort goes into it, and there, 100 some races every week, and managing that is, kind of a labor of love. And just, want to give a shout out to all you folks who, do the commentating, the restreaming, the tracking, and all that.
Yeah, shout outs to everyone behind the scenes. Really, there's a lot going on. Admins of Speed Gaming, especially putting in some work to keep everything organized.
Absolutely.
And GG to you and Wolfie. You guys put on a good race.
Well, I'm glad to have been part of it, for sure, and I'm glad that I was able to finish. I was a little worried that the power would go out or something just as I'm climbing the gauntlet or something, but luckily that didn't happen.
Walter, any final thoughts for this race, this seed?
Well, I think you, both of you, kind of summed it up pretty good. Special shout out to Maximum Barnett for restreaming this race and for our tracker Tim Dobo.
All right. Guess I think we'll go ahead and sign off then. There's going to be plenty of races upcoming, so check the schedule. I think there's one going on right now. Maybe I think. Hold on. Yeah, there is a quad that's probably somewhere near the end, honestly, on Speed Gaming 2. And that's it for tonight. And then there's a few more races tomorrow. So stay tuned to the schedule. And there's plenty of races next week also. We're going to be in our 5th week of the Swiss rounds. So still near 100 races to watch next week as well. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us, chats. And I have been Recedador.
Yeah, and I have been Walter the Fourth.
And thanks for joining us. And have a good night, everyone.